Hello, welcome to 15 Minutes of Consulting Best Practices. I'm joined by David A. Fields. My name is Maria Isabel Rios. Welcome to the stage and thank you for joining us if you're live. For those of you who are new and as you come in, please share your questions and throughout the conversation, share your comments, share your insights. This is a space where we take questions about how to grow and how to make your consulting firm life as a leader more delightful. Most of our answers come from our work with over 300 consulting firms. And from the clients that we're working with now and from our own experience. David, how are you this morning?
Outstanding. I'm missing that hour. I don't know what happened. Whose idea was it to steal an hour? I'm not sure.
Well, I think since they stole it, they should keep it. I'm not giving it back in November.
Exactly right. All right. Well, let's as people, hopefully someone will post a question in the comments. But until then, Deidre, did any come in? Look at that. Some came in. Okay. So how much time of business development is needed on average to win a project? I'm looking at estimating how much business development time I need to have to fill my practice. That's what Tom asked. Okay. What do you think, Maria Isabel?
All right. I think we have a few rules of thumb depending where you are, Tom. So best rule of thumb, I think, is to spend about 20% of your time on business development if you're responsible for driving revenue. And we say it easily and folks are like, got it, 20%. But 20% means that on an average week, you're spending 8 hours or more doing business development. So bring it down to what it would mean in your calendar, right? To do 20% of business development. If you're driving a large practice, however, right, in a $5 to $10 million vertical, you can spend up to 60% of your time on business development, right? So it changes completely if you have a team of folks who are delivering, if you're at a larger boutique firm or a larger firm, then it shifts, right? Then you're spending the average, say the equivalent of 3 days a week on business development. And the other dimension here is folks say, how much of my time, but how long does it take? And David, I'm going to push back to you. What would be your answer if Tom's question is, okay, how much of time in the aggregate, right, in the span of a year?
Well, I mean, this was an interesting question. Is like, how much time does, how much time does it require to sign a project?
Right.
And that's like an impossible question to answer because that's not how it works. Right. I mean, the answer is we have signed projects. We've gone from initial inquiry from someone we never heard of before to signed project in a matter of like 48 hours.
Right.
If the conditions are right. And we have a client domestically that I talked to the decision maker for 8 years. So like how much time? I don't know. But if you invest your time consistently in business development, if 20%, if you can keep to that, if you're running a larger firm and you don't have as much delivery responsibility, then your business development time needs to be more. And if you're doing that consistently, then when inquiries come in, they're fast to close. So you have to look at it sort of more broadly, right. I would say, and think about, am I doing the right things over time? There are firms, Maria Isabel, that you and I both know where they do no business development, but that's not scalable and it's not sustainable, usually much past 7 years. So
I hear you. And for me, my off the hip answer will have been longer than we would want, right? How much time does it take in the overall longer than anyone wants? All right, David, there's a couple questions in here.
Yeah.
Thank you to all. I'm going to start with John because it's a follow-on question. John, you're asking, does that include the time spent writing proposals and following up or just getting new clients to talk to initially?
All BD time.
All BD, exactly.
All business development. So if you have so much incoming that 20% of your time is spent on context discussions, documents, proposals, all of that, that's great. With one exception, I would say, if your process for developing proposals and your own documents is so inefficient that you're just eating up all your time, then you need to relook at it.
Right.
So it includes developing a proposal and negotiating it, as long as you've got a reasonably efficient process. That'd be my thought. What do you think, Marie-Isabel?
I'm 100% with you.
Yeah.
And Tanisha, I want to get to your question. So you are asking, and now your question disappeared from my screen.
I've got it. How do you reconnect with folks in a genuine way after sending the 111 message? Do you follow up if no reply? So are those two separate? Do you think? Two separate pieces, Tanisha? So how do you follow up genuinely if they do reply? And then what do you do if they don't?
Right.
You want me to jump on that?
Absolutely.
I'll cheat on this one. So there was an article sometime, I think in the past month, maybe past 2 months, on the follow-up to 111 emails. So maybe someone can grab that and put it in the comments. We literally lay out the guidelines to doing a follow-up when somebody responds to a 111 email, especially if the response is tepid, if it's not very enthusiastic. If it's an enthusiastic response, then you jump into conversation. If someone doesn't respond, just throw them back into your pool of dormant contacts, and in 3 or 4 or 5 months, whenever they come up again, send another 111 email.
Right.
And you can just keep doing that. And for especially a decision maker, maybe it takes you 2 years, but you just reach out, and then when you hit that certain time and they're thinking, oh, you know what, I do need you, Tanisha, and then they get back to you. But in the meantime, you just keep reaching out once a quarter or something like that. Agree? Disagree, Marie-Isabel?
Absolutely. And I think when we say follow up, don't think of it as saying, oh, I sent you a message 3 months ago, which I know you would never do, right? And now I'm trying to get back in touch with you again. The one consideration is, how much has it been since the last time you actually connected? Because remember, your timeline where you're pinging every 3 months may not be the timeline in your prospect's head, where the last time they spoke with you now amounts, say, to 2 years back. And you want to use that to know, how do you change your 111, right? Do you change it to more, to adapt it to the fact that more time has passed?
Yeah, I think you can just you can almost ignore all your historical ones.
Right.
And send them out. John Gilbert, I love your questions here. And you say you spend a ton of time on proposals and follow-up. That sounds like a process issue and or possibly a focus issue if every proposal is bespoke. In which case, getting your business to be a little bit more dialed in on something specific, it shouldn't require so much rework every time. All right, there's a new question from Allison here too. Let me read it. Whatever it says, and it's whatever she asks, it's for you, Marie-Isabel.
All right.
Should I send a client a proposal to facilitate a session for her team without a proper context setting call? And then there's some background. I worked with the CEO 3 years ago, sent a 111 about this new framework. And via email, she asked me to send a proposal. That's hysterical. So talk about the 111 working. Ask for a proposal to facilitate with her team. I prefer a context call to better tease out the value and benefits, but she's literally asking me for a proposal. All right, Marie-Isabel, you're on the spot. What should you do?
All right. And David, it looks like you've frozen, at least on my screen. So while we share that, check it out.
Okay.
Allison, thank you for your question. Very interesting, right? Your prospect is saying, I want a proposal. Perhaps that's the way you worked with her before, or perhaps because before you know each other so well, that's what she's jumping into. Do not be afraid to say, you know what, I've quite changed the way I address engagements. I want to get the most out of this for you. And therefore, can we have a conversation? Right? Can you give me 30, 45 minutes? I'd like to understand the context better. I like to understand the value for you, the benefits for you. That way, my proposal really will hit where you need the work to be, rather than proposing in a vacuum. So don't be afraid to push back, of course, in a right side up way, right? You're doing this to get them more value out of engaging. So Allison, I don't know, we've lost David completely.
Well,
Or
I'm
just,
here. I just
you're here.
whatever StreamYard has frozen me, so I can go out and go back in. But I agree with you. What you said.
And let us know, everybody else who's here, if you have another suggestion for Allison. If I am wondering, Allison, if there's anything holding you back other than wanting to be responsive. And wanting to be responsive, it adds up to two elements in here. We're making Deidre sweat today with all the backgrounds and the banners. So thank you, Deidre. All right. So part of it is, if what's holding you back is the need to be responsive, you can separate being responsive into basically two elements, right? One is how fast you answer and how right side up you answer. And two is, do you give them exactly what they're asking for when they're asking for it? Absolutely, Terry, avoid commoditization. That's in a nutshell what we're saying here. So push back, ask for the conversation, be super responsive, super interested the way you are. And that will get you hopefully across the table from your prospect.
Excellent.
And congratulations again on a wonderful 111 that opened up a new proposal.
Yeah, look at that. That's pretty nice. And John asked, and I think I'm unfrozen now.
You are.
Yeah. Poor Deidre. What are good methods to identify potential prospects to attend a business presentation? I'm not sure what the business presentation you're referring to is, John. Maybe you can give just a little bit of more background so I understand. And is this a free thing or paid thing? Is it a webinar? If you can give a little bit more, then we can, maybe what we'll do is we'll answer that question next week. If you give a little bit more background, if that's fair. And while we're doing that, Deidre, do we have any others that came in from the oh, we do.
All right. So I'm going to put you on the spot.
Oh, another 111. Okay.
All right. Bill used the 111 message sequence, which worked. Congratulations. Yep. To schedule a conversation with a contact. They just canceled the call. Yeah. How should Bill follow up?
Well, this one's easy. Yeah. Just reach out and ask to reschedule. So just right away, if someone cancels, reach out and say, I saw you canceled. What looks good to reschedule? How's, next Thursday look, or something like that. And if they don't respond, then just put them back on the list for another 111 outreach in however many months, just like we were discussing earlier. So that's pretty straightforward. Isabel, thoughts?
I'm completely with you. I think oftentimes when we get asked this question, and you're not the first person to ask, Bill, so I'm not assuming this is the case for you. Folks ask because there's a mindset challenge behind it, right? That the person has changed their mind and they don't want to talk with you anymore or something like that. What would you say to Bill if that were the scenario? If he's asking because he's afraid the person doesn't want to talk with him anymore?
So, and that is common, right? But that's all mindset. That's because you're making it about you. And in 90% of the time, it's not about you. 95% of the time, they have just something else came up. So don't overthink it. Don't worry about it. Just check in and reschedule. And they'll usually say, okay, and they'll reschedule.
All right, Bill. Let us know if you got what you needed.
Yeah. And look, we've spent another 15 minutes, just about. So, and good questions coming in and good interaction. Thank you all for being here, for asking questions. And thank you, Deidre, for dealing with the technology. Before you go, I know it says Monday Live down there. I want to give you actually a different link to think about. We're going to have coming up not too long, a solo practice accelerator. So we have a lot of programs for folks whose firms are larger, but if your firm is under $1 million a year and you want to, have a more lucrative practice, I would highly recommend you come to a solo practice accelerator. They are very good. And that's davidafields.com/spa, like you're going to a spa for a massage. So go there and at least get on the wait list because they sell out really quickly. As Deidre put on here somewhere, Monday Live, put that on your calendar. It makes it easy to get here. Also, make sure you're connected with Marie Isabel and with me on LinkedIn, so that we're connected with you. And bring someone else next time. Bring a friend when you come next time. If you don't get our weekly articles, so you're like, what the heck's a 111? You would know if you read the article. So subscribe because there's all sorts of great content in there. Anything else we have on this, Deidre? No, that's it. So good. So thank you for being here with me and with Marie Isabel. Marie Isabel, thank you for doing this with me and letting me do this with you. For all of you, have a fabulous week. Do remember, consulting is about them. It's about your clients and about your prospects. So give them kindness and give them value. And we will see you next week.
Ciao. Thank you.